Hello, fellow movie crusaders, and welcome to our episode. My name's Sean Watts. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels, and today was a happy day. Today was our most anticipated film of the year for both of us, because if you go back to early January when we did our most anticipated films of 2024, we both had our number one, and it was Deadpool and Wolverine. The day finally came. This is a non-spoiler and a spoiler discussion, much like it always is when Brian and I are both doing a review together. So listen for the non-spoiler, and then if you guys have seen Deadpool and Wolverine, stick around for afterwards where we go over everything that we want to go over for the movie. I am maybe 45 minutes out of seeing it. You're maybe about an hour, 45 minutes out from seeing it, so it's still very, very fresh in our minds. My theater was not that busy. But I also don't live in the same kind of area that Brian does. Brian, you were at IMAX and you said it was packed.
It's not completely full, but it's pretty packed for 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon.
So I'm gonna go to you because you've had an hour longer than me to digest this. What were your thoughts of Deadpool and Wolverine?
Okay, non-spoiler thoughts. Okay.
As best you can, non-spoiler thoughts, because it is very
the non-spoiler
hard.
section of this is going to be very short.
It is very, very hard to do non-spoiler for this, guys. It really, really is.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. There were things about it plot-wise which I didn't really care for, but mostly nitpicky things which we'll get into later. But as far as just so like the actual plot, even the story of the movie, I didn't care that much about it. But I had a blast enjoying the ride. I thought that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman especially, I thought did great jobs of not only doing the whole, buddy cop, well, not buddy cop kind of thing, but that kind of chemistry between them, but also just in their dramatic acting, especially Hugh Jackman, I thought did a phenomenal job in his dramatic scenes. It goes right up there with any of his actual dramas that I've seen him do. The cast across the board was great. This is like tiptoeing around things here.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be rough.
The non-spoiler section is gonna be kind of short. I do think that at the end of the day, I don't think it is quite the finale to the Foxverse that I expected it to be, or that kind of made it out to be. But it is definitely a great tribute to it, and kind of let us have one last ride with them kind of thing. I don't know what to discuss without going into spoilers. Why don't you take it for a minute while I think some more?
Okay, so I'm gonna do this. This will be like a grand overview of Deadpool, the trilogy as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna come out and say this right now, and you may or may not agree with me on this. Deadpool is not the greatest lead character. His plots aren't the strongest. Deadpool 1 had probably a paper-thin plot. It was just more, hey, it's Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. This is fun. But the story, very, very fucking thin. Deadpool 2, the plot that was the strongest was Cable's plot. And Deadpool was just kind of there in the mix of it. And Deadpool and Wolverine is very much the same. Deadpool has a plot. Deadpool has an arc that he is trying to achieve in this film. I do think it was stronger in the beginning than it was in the end, because by the time we get midway through the film, Wolverine's arc and Wolverine's character plot is the forefront. It is the more important plot. And that is because Hugh Jackman and Wolverine has a very much stronger character arc in general, because Logan has so much more to build on. And Deadpool is just there. He's a great sidekick character. He's not the leading man. Ryan Reynolds is, but Deadpool himself is not the leading man. So while the overarching story is Deadpool centric, and at the end of the day, the goal is Deadpool goal. That is the goal that they're trying to achieve is for Deadpool. It is Wolverine's story. It is Wolverine's character arc that he is going through in this film. That is what carries this movie from great scene to funny moment all the way throughout. It is not Deadpool's story, which kind of feels like that we're going for that, but that's kind of just here. Here's the end point, but there's not really a whole lot in the middle that is going to fill it in. Wolverine's what fills it in, which is fine with me, because Wolverine's my favorite fucking comic book character of all time, and Hugh Jackman is fucking amazing in this shit. And Sean Levy is a fantastic director. He is great with Hugh Jackman, who's worked with before in Real Steel, and he's great with Ryan Reynolds, who he's worked with numerous times. So I had no problems believing that Sean Levy could take this and especially with these two and make this carry through all the way through. Now, some people are calling this hollow and just throwing shit at the wall for the nerds and stuff. But you know what? That shit fucking worked, because there's so many times in this movie that I got downright just like pity in certain moments and just clapped and like got excited and went, oh shit, good. But is there a story in the middle of this? And there fucking is. It's Wolverine's story, not so much Wade's, but there is a story for Wade. It's just not as strong outside of just the bare bones of it. I think that they integrate the MCU into it enough to make it flow and make sense. The MCU does not overtake this movie. This is very much I would say a Fox-centric.
I honestly felt like this almost had nothing to do with the MCU. Aside from the presence of the TVA, this didn't feel connected to the MCU.
No, and that's all you needed it to be, was just that the TVA is there. There's your connection to the MCU.
That's what I liked about this, is because you know how I feel about trying to shoehorn Deadpool into the MCU. You know, it's like it doesn't quite work because he is aware of the entertainment industry kind of part of it. So this is kind of what I predicted, and what I hope they stick with is that he isn't going. They aren't bringing him into the MCU. He may have his own movies, and he may do like he did with the Fox ones, where you can have characters pop up in there, but it's not like canon to what's actually occurring in the world. And so I liked that the only thing that they really connected it with was the TVA. Now, as far as the big surprises, there were some great surprises, had me, smiling and getting excited and stuff like that. But there honestly weren't as many as I expected. Now, I wasn't one of these people who was just predicting like every single cameo in the world like they did previously with Multiverse of Madness. They did it again with this one. And it's like, there were not as many, like, there are certain points in the movie, which we'll get into later, where I'm like, oh, now we're going to get into something. There's going to be something coming up here. And like, it wasn't really anything. I'm like, oh, I guess I was expecting another revelation there, but it wasn't. But there weren't as many surprises, but I enjoyed the hell out of them. Now, my question is, this is part of my problem in trying to come up with a score, which we'll get to eventually, is that will I enjoy the movie and give it its highest score on a second and third viewing when I'm not surprised by these things, where I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It's like, is that newness, is that initial excitement of seeing this cameo or whatever, it's not going to be as fresh and new the second time. So then I think you'll start thinking more about just the movie as, the plot and things like that. And so some of that fun won't be quite as heightened.
Well, I'll go with you on that. I will admit that I don't go back and rewatch Deadpool and Deadpool 2 barely at all, because the first time watching them, fun as hell. Going back and rewatching Deadpool and Deadpool 2, not nearly as fun as the first time experience, because like I said, Deadpool 1, it's Ryan Reynolds being great as Deadpool, but the story is kind of blah. Deadpool 2, kind of the same. I don't really care about the story. I don't really care about the movie.
I would agree on all
but
that.
I like watching Ryan Reynolds play Deadpool. This one, though, we get Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And the surprises that we do get, instead of it just being the, hey, here's cameo, the movie, these cameos actually flow with the fucking story. They're not, most of them do.
Some of them.
Most of them do. And then there are some that I didn't think, I was like, oh, there's blank. Oh, they didn't get the same person to play that person. But then the cast list shows that was them. I was like, well, then why didn't they not focus on them? Which kind of hurt me on some.
Because IMDb and Letterboxd are editable by the public. Because there's definitely a couple that I know for sure were not those actors.
Okay, so maybe the one I'm thinking about, because I'm like, that was not played by that person. Yeah. And I was like, I can guarantee you that person did not come back to play this.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But I think that when we got the surprises that we got, I think they hit great. And there are some great, just hell yeah moments through this movie. There is a lag right after the initial opening, which the opening is fucking chef's kiss amazing.
I want to say the opening is not only a ton of fun, both with the action and the music they use in it was great. But as someone who saw this in like IMAX 3D, the 3D in that scene was awesome. Like they even had like where it went
Oh
out
yeah.
and kind of broke the frame, so like came out, so it looked like it was coming out farther than the screen. And
I
it
was
looked
like, because like my girlfriend's like, "Are we going to see this in 3D?" I go, "No," and then I'm watching. I'm like, "This is the 3D scene." It's like,
yeah, I wouldn't have gone out of my way to see it in 3D. Actually, given the option, I probably would not have seen it in 3D.
Mhm.
But I want to see the first show in IMAX, and the first show in IMAX was 3D, and the rest of them tonight aren't not. So I'm like, that's fine. I'll see it in 3D, and I'm actually glad I did because it was fun. Although later on in the movie, I hardly noticed it at all, to be honest with you.
Like I said, I feel like the 3D aspect of it is literally in the opening, which
Yeah.
once again, as of right now, best fucking opening of the year. Most entertaining opening of the year. I was just loving everything about the first like 5-10 minutes of this movie. The next 10 to 15 minutes, which I know it's the meat and potatoes. It's literally trying to set up
It's the
everything.
kind of thing when they start relying on the plot and the drama of it, like when they go to this is not spoilers, when they go back to like Wade and his
Wade's
friends
story.
and family and things like
Yes.
that, and you're just like, this is
I was
fine.
like,
I want to get back to the fun
man.
stuff.
I was like, oh man, we're dragging. Like, oh no, what the fuck? And then finally TVA showed up. I'm like, okay, now we're back. We're back now. But yeah, that like 10-minute pocket in there. I was like, oh man, like you guys you're not losing me, but I'm going, oh shit. Like
My concern, my thing was like, I don't mind these scenes, but it's like we only have so much running time. This is running time that could be spent on the fun stuff.
exactly. It wasn't necessarily bad at all by any means.
Yeah.
It was just not very exciting, entertaining. Like I said, it's needed for plot, but even then, that plot still was very thin, much like a lot of Deadpool plot. But at the end of the day, like I said, non-spoiler things aside, I think Deadpool and Wolverine set out for what they tried to do, and they put on a fucking fantastically awesome film together. I loved every minute of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman on screen. I thought they both did great. Hugh Jackman it's been 7 years since Logan, and oh my god, last night I realized I was like, it's been fucking 7 years since Logan. Fucking don't feel like that, but it has been. He has not missed a step as Wolverine. I don't think he ever will. I would love for him to continue, but I don't think he will. I think this will be the last we get of him, which if it is, perfect goodbye to Logan. I thought Emma Corrin did great at Cassandra Nova. I thought she was a good, solid villain. She's definitely the best villain we've gotten out of Deadpool movies. Definitely the best we got out of the first two. And I think everyone else in the film that I can't say because of spoilers, I thought were great. There was one performance that I was like,
and people don't go to IMDb or anything because the people are already listed.
Oh yes, don't go on Letterboxd, don't go on IMDb. The spoilers are there, and I'm sure as the weekend goes, the spoilers are going to keep on flowing. So don't look up the cast on anything without you wanting to be spoiled for shit. But there is definitely one cast person that I was like, okay, this is a funny joke. But then as a one, I'm like, this person's actually doing really, really good in this role, and I was not prepared for it. And I think you know exactly who I'm talking about. But yeah, I disagree. I think this was a great swan song to Fox, especially with what they do in the mid credits. I was watching, I was like, this is the goodbye letter. This is the goodbye letter to the Fox universe. This is saying the goodbye to, and this is not spoiler, guys. We all know that everyone's getting recast for the MCU, but this is the perfect goodbye to the X-Men, Fox, the all the Fox universe of this thing. And then at the very end, they ended it with the Fox Century logo. And I thought that was very, very nice touch. Very well done. I loved this movie. It's definitely the best Deadpool of all the Deadpools. I mean, I don't think that was ever going to be in doubt unless we just was.
I kind of prefer the first one, honestly.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I think the first one's very basic. It's very fucking basic. It's fun. It's fun.
But it was new and fresh and kind of get to know the character. And yeah, but we're not reviewing the first one. So.
But yeah, it's definitely at least a 9 out of 10. It's just where do I add little 0.1, 2, 3, 4, whatever through it? It's definitely at least a 90 for me. Now, whether it goes higher or lower, I don't know, but it's definitely at least a 90 for me right now, which is 4.5. I don't see it going to a 4-star because I just have too much damn fun watching this. But do I see myself rewatching this one like I don't really do with the first two? And my answer would probably be yes, because of Hugh Jackman's Logan in this. And when we do get Wolverine and Deadpool together, it is a load of fun. and in so many ways that I can't say right now in the non-spoiler. Do you want to say anything else non-spoiler before we go into the spoiler aspect of this?
No.
Okay. Any idea on your score yet?
It's not going to be a 5.
I'm not even giving it a 5.
It's kind of 4 to 4.5. It's probably like a 4.3 right now. So if I had to score right now, I'd probably put it 4.5. But I'm still got to think it over. I might watch it one more time before I score it.
Okay. So, guys, that is our non-spoiler. As vague as that was, I hope we described it enough to you guys without having to go too far into spoiler territory. But for you guys who have seen Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine, stick around. We're going to spoil the shit out of this. If you guys have not, pause this, come back after you've seen it, because this movie just came out, so a lot of people haven't got to see it yet. But we definitely want you guys to come back and talk about this with us as we go over this. So here's your spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brian, go ahead and say what you want to say that you didn't get to say.
Oh, there's so much.
I know.
Okay.
But you were teetering around during the non-spoiler. You're like, I know.
Well, that's like every scene I thought about, I had to teeter on stuff. So I kind of want to go like scene by scene, or at least kind of through
the opening.
So the opening, obviously you have that the cool action scene, and he's doing the end sync, which I kind of wonder if that's Ryan Reynolds doing his own dancing, because he was doing pretty damn good dancing.
If that was actually Ryan doing the end sync choreography, in my brain I want to believe that it is.
See, I want to believe it is. I'm not sure if I do though, because I know when he did Spirited, he was talking about he's a horrible dancer. So maybe it's not. But either way, that opening was just fun as hell with using the end sync. I loved how he like turned the camera and started dancing like between kills and shit like that. But then
here's the only thing I would have added with that, because we don't know if he was actually dancing in between, or if that was kind of like how you do the music video thing where it's like, oh, here's a new scene where he's just dancing. I would have loved a TVA agent coming through and looking in and seeing all these dead bodies, and you just see him going doing this. I would have loved just to see that third person perspective, and then all of a sudden Deadpool just like throws like a piece of Wolverine at him. I would have loved to see someone going, so he is actually dancing while killing all these people, like, because we don't know that, because there's never a scene where he's doing the choreography and there's people around. It's pretty clean. So I'd have loved a TVA agent to come through and go, what the fuck, kind of thing. But I love
that's why when they first started doing Deadpool, I kind of wanted them to have like, because to explain the fourth wall breaking, I originally thought, I always wanted to have him like talking to like the camera or something, and like somebody else in the scene, whether it be a Colossus, somebody going like, who are you talking to, kind of thing.
Which they do in this, which is great.
Kind of sometimes. The other thing I did like about not only the opening, but kind of the scene connected to the opening is when they go to the TVA, then they go back to that right before that scene where you see him digging up Logan. And I love that because they're like, we don't want to, we're not gonna, I don't remember the word they used, to sully the legacy, the closure.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin the perfect ending of Logan.
Don't ruin the perfect ending, and then digging him up. And I was just like, really? It was like that's the one thing I thought they were very careful. They didn't want to do. Didn't want to ruin his ending.
I thought that they were going to keep Logan. I mean, we got spoiled that Daphne Keene was going to be in it, but I was like, they're not going to touch Logan. Like they're not, and they're like, no, not really. We got to.
I like that they didn't though, because it's not like they dug him up and found he was still alive or anything. You found out he really was dead. And they started playing around with a fucking corpse, and then they started using him as weapons. And I was like, holy shit! And I got home, and the first thing I did is I played the trailer, because I'm like, did we just not notice he was whipping around like bones and skeletons shit? But you can't tell it. They did like it's
too quick. You think he's using his katanas?
Well, that, and even when they did like the short clips when you could pause it, he was the parts where he was just holding like a small fragment of it, so you couldn't tell. Thought it was a branch or something.
Yeah, and then but yeah, the using of Logan's corpse was perfect, especially the part where like they like the 3D shot where he's like whipping around. It's Logan's face, like.
Oh yeah, he has like the spine and the head. He's whipping it around.
Yes, yeah. And then now granted it's not in the opening scene, it's when they go back to it, but when he's actually using the claws, he's got the guy in the ass and the guy in the crotch, and he's like, help me out, guys, help me out. You sick motherfucker.
that was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was so great.
Then we went on to kind of Wade's new life, where he's a used car salesman and all this kind of stuff.
No, hold on. No, first we go to him talking to Happy, trying to join the Avengers.
There is that, yeah.
Because there's that whole sequence, which I thought was, and this was before Endgame too, because Tony's still alive at this point, based off of where we are in the story. And I thought that scene was good. I think it went a little too long, but I thought it had its fun moments with it. I just don't buy that Deadpool would have just like kind of just give up at that point, like as a character. I don't think Wade would have just like been, a depressed schlub after that scene with Happy, because as much as I love Happy, it's fucking Happy Hogan. Is Wade really going to give a flying fuck what Happy thinks? But apparently, according to this story, Wade just kind of gives up on everything after this conversation with Happy, which I don't know if I really buy that for his character. But yes, after that, we jump ahead 6 years, and he's basically working with Peter, who I'm assuming he brought back to life in the didn't he bring him back to life in the after credits of Deadpool 2?
Well, you saw him bring just him back to life, but then Shatterstar's there. So the question is, did he bring them all back to life? I don't know, because Shatterstar died too.
Yeah.
Which here's my problem with the whole birthday party scene is that, and his family, is that they have Shatterstar there, who he knew for 5 minutes and was not close with. They have Peter there, who is, I don't love Peter. I think he's kind of a mediocre character, but fine, whatever. He's there for comic relief. I mean, it's already a comedy, but it's there for that. But then it seems like when you have like Shatterstar and Peter and that, but you don't have Domino, you don't have Cable, you don't, or even I forgot his name, Fire Fist, whatever that kid's name was.
Whatever that kid's name is.
These people that you think they would be a part of his life, but they aren't there. Now, obviously, this is for budgetary reasons or availability reasons.
And availability as
availability. Well. But then that's fine. But then don't have Shatterstar there. It's like why is he there? What does he contribute besides making you go, well, why would he be there and not these other people?
Yeah, I'm fine with Peter being there, but yeah, Shatterstar had no reason to be there.
Or even like I don't remember his name, Bob or whatever, the big bald guy from the bar.
Yeah, I kept wondering.
Like, no, obviously they had him there because TJ Miller, Buck, yeah, because TJ Miller got himself canceled and stuff, which you know how I feel about all that kind of shit. Whatever. It's like there's life and then there's movies.
Yeah, part of me couldn't remember who Buck was. So I was like, who the fuck's this guy?
Yeah, here's just the guy from the bar, and they made a big deal of like he he messed up his speaking lines and stuff in the second one. But that obviously should have been TJ Miller in that scene. But since he and Ryan had a falling out, plus the whole canceled thing, that he wasn't going to be there. So it's just they should have just left out these replacement characters because it just made the absence of those other characters that much more glaring.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the birthday scene. I don't buy that. Like, once again, I don't buy that Wade is just like, oh, I'm just giving up on life now. And then I also don't buy like the whole him and Vanessa breaking up because of that kind of thing. Like it was like, say, it was 10 minutes of the movie that I thought just really did not work for me because I don't buy Wade's character being that way all because of Happy Hogan. And it kind of was like we had a great opening, and then you.
So Happy's the real villain of this movie.
What's that?
Happy's the real villain of this movie.
I mean, technically, to a point, he really is. I almost kind of wish you would have just brought somebody else in that wasn't Happy, like an Avenger, and had them have a superhero tell him, no, dude, you are not good enough to be a part of us, kind of thing. Like, even if it was like Hawkeye or Black Widow, granted, I know it'd be hard to, you definitely can't get Renner right now because he's healing, but you could have gotten any of them. Because I feel like it would, if you're going to get Wade to this point, the only non-superhero that could tell him that would be Nick Fury. Now, if you got Samuel Jackson to come and go, dude, fuck no, you're not an Avenger, so stop. I can buy that, but I don't buy that Happy.
And especially to bring Nick Fury here where he could say fuck all he wanted to.
Exactly. You have the moment. You have the opportunity to get Samuel Jackson to say that shit, and I would feel like that would resonate with Wade and not Happy. But TVA show up, and also it bugged the hell out of me that he still had the staples in his head through most of the movie with the little patch. I'm like, just take the shit off, Wade. But we get to the MCU side of things, and I actually really liked how they explained it for this. Like, as I was watching, I was like, this is a really smart kind of way to transition the MCU in. Is that like, hey, we found out that you're very, very important, and we're gonna save you from your universe because it's gonna fucking die, and we're gonna bring you into ours because you are a vital, special importance to it. And the moment when he finds out, he runs off and he 4 camera breaks. Fuck you, Fox. Fucking.
I'm going to Disneyland.
I'm going to Disneyland. Breaks the camera. Fucking love that moment. That was such a great moment. But I loved how they I would have loved it if it was Morbius, but it couldn't be Morbius because or Mobius because obviously Paradox is.
Did you say Morbius? What?
Yeah, Mobius. It can't be because Paradox technically turns out to be a bad guy in this, but I would have loved it if it was Owen Wilson. But yeah, I thought the inclusion or the explanation for why everything is the way it is, Logan died, so the whole universe is gonna die because of it. I don't know if I buy that, but I guess it makes. I guess I could buy that for the story. I liked how they were going to bring him into.
Well, we also don't know how much of what that guy was saying was bullshit, because he was trying to manipulate Deadpool to do what he wanted him to do for him.
True. But I liked how they were explaining how they wanted to bring Wade over. I liked that. And he even got his own Tony Stark moment with the dude down below, where he was like, that guy knows, and he's not even looking at gets that whole scene. What are you doing? Calling your wife? Calling HR? Does your wife work for HR? It's just great moments there. Which then brings us back to the opening where he continues to kill and with Wolverine's claws at that point, which is just awesome. Then we get the montage of Wolverines.
I'm torn on the montage, because it's like, on the one hand, it's like you didn't get to spend any real time seeing what these characters were like, these different versions of him were like, beyond just a costume, just here's a different look for him, here's a different look for him. You didn't get to see what the character's personality was like. But at the same time, I wouldn't want them to dwell too long on anything. So I'm kind of torn on this.
The only thing I would have changed, and this is me wanting an extra cameo, but the reason why I probably didn't do it is because maybe this person might still get cast to play Wolverine, is when they did Little Wolverine, which I fucking died. It would have been great if it was Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, everybody wanted Daniel Radcliffe, and then they wanted Taron Egerton and all that stuff. It's like, nah.
Well, I was saying I would have loved it if it was Radcliffe, because he's small enough that would play, because it just looked weird. But the jokes there. Hello, comic accurate size Wolverine. But
then they show all the other ones, and they're all Hugh Jackman. And then so I'm like, okay, they're not going to do the whole thing with different casting. But there's the one that the way they're not facing the camera, I'm like, oh, it's going to be somebody. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?
It's fucking Henry Cavill, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought we'll treat you better than the guys down the street did.
Yes, and then he does the Mission Impossible cuckoo as he sneaks up. Oh man, that was great. That was such a great moment. My girlfriend was dying when she saw that it was him. And I love, because I was worried. I was like, oh no, stay with the Wolverines a little longer. But then we went back and saw that they basically, fucked Wade up in each scene. And then we get to our version of Wolverine in the story, which frankly, outside of him not being poisoned by his adamantium, this is kind of feels like almost the same Logan that we get in Logan, just not old. Yeah,
well, it's another Logan who's also lost everybody and everything. So it's the same kind of.
It's the same Logan basically, except without the poisoning and old age. But I love how he drags his ass back to the TVA. We get kind of the bread and butter of it, and then they get purged, which explains why we got the 20th Century Fox logo and shit.
Because it's the junk heap, the garbage heap where they dump everything.
Exactly, which I kept wondering, is how the fuck are they going to get to this point? I don't know. My brain didn't go to being purged as part of it, but we get to that moment, which most of the trailers were around, which the trailers did such a good job, at least for the two that we watched, did such a good job of not giving away this movie. Because
I've since watched the other after I got home, because I had saved a lot of the things that I didn't want to watch yet. And I watched them all, and nothing really gave away much more, honestly.
Yeah, I will say Feige and Marvel did a great job not spoiling this movie for the trailers.
And a big part of that is the fact that they really, as I'm watching this movie in the first 20 minutes, I'm like, I think I've seen almost everything from the trailer already. There's that, and then a little bit towards the end, when they're walking on that street with the Just Feet store behind them and stuff. It's those are kind of the scenes where almost the entire movie seems to have taken from.
Yeah, they did such a good job doing it. So we get our first fight between them. They did not disappoint. Go ahead. What you want to say?
They didn't disappoint, but I think that
it was the tease before the big fight, which was the car fight.
Well, the things that they had this fight, and then the car fight, and then even later on when they're fighting all the other Deadpool things like that. To me, it got a little bit repetitive and monotonous. Because you have all these guys fighting with blades, but everybody can heal, so nobody's ever really down for the count. So it's like okay, it just kind of feels like we're doing the same thing again and again and again.
Well, you can't really do anything about it, and they can't really cut off any of Deadpool's limbs in this one because they need him to be active. They can't.
Well, that's why I feel like they needed to have either this fight which made more sense, and not the car one, or not this fight, not the car one. I think this one made more sense.
I think the
But it's
car
like,
one
it
made
just seemed like
perfect
a
sense
second one
based
for
on-
yeah.
I think the car fight made perfect sense based off of where they were at in the story. They had to have a blow off, and that was their blow off. But yeah, we got to have their big fight here in the desert, which I thought was fun. It wasn't even that long. It was a quick tease because the big fight was the car fight. And then we get the first big cameo. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the first big one because we technically got Hulk cameoed in that one brief moment when they went back to the brown and yellow one. And he was there.
It's just recycled footage, though. Just
exactly, but still, I'm still happy that we even got that. But yeah, we got our first big cameo, which I figured it out right away because I was like, as soon as I saw his hair, I was like, oh, that's Johnny. That's not.
I heard the voice. We saw the hood up, and I heard the voice, and I'm like,
well, yeah, I heard it too. Because
that's
like,
totally Chris Evans.
Yeah, he's like, they're coming. I go, Chris Evans.
And then and then you see his arm, and it's got red, white, and blue, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Captain America. And now, obviously, I considered the possibility of Johnny Storm showing up, things like that, originally when I was thinking about what might be in this movie. But I was fooled by them because I saw like the red, white, and blue. I'm like, oh no, I guess it's going to be Captain America. I'm really excited, and he pulled it off, and I didn't think anything of it. And honestly, right up until the moment when he said, he's going to say it, Avengers itself, flame on. I'm like, I loved that moment.
I was like, hell yes.
Yeah.
But we got to see Sabretooth again. Good old Tyler Mane back as Sabretooth. I would have loved Liev Schreiber, but that's just me. Yeah, probably. We got Aaron Stanford back as Pyro. Now, was that or was that not Ray Park as Toad?
I'm fairly certain it was not Ray Park. I'm fairly certain it was not Kelly Hu as Lady Deathstrike, and
yes.
I'm positive it's not what's his name is Juggernaut.
It definitely
that definitely wasn't him.
No,
which the problem is with all these characters, it's like, well, just use different characters then if you can't get these actors back, or you can't afford them, or they're not available, or whatever. It's like, use different characters, because as soon as they put these people in the back that we know are not the same actors, it had Space Jam: A New Legacy feelings to me, where it's like there's people in cosplay as these characters that aren't the characters that we've seen.
And then there was also there was another one that I was like, I don't believe that was her either.
Callisto was the same.
Yeah,
from
X3. Was Callisto the same?
Yeah, she was. She had her hair down and stuff, but it's the same actress.
Okay, because I was like, I don't think that was Callisto either.
At least I'm fairly certain that was her. I could be wrong, but when
they showed Lady Deathstrike, I'm like, that's not Kelly Hu. That's not. I was like, because if it was, they would show her face if that was her. I don't know who played Juggernaut. I don't even see him in the cast right now.
No, I forgot to look for him in the credits because I was watching the
because by the time that thing ended, I was like, "Where's the cast?"
I almost missed Blake Lively until the last moment I looked over and like, "Oh, what's Blake Lively?" Well, let me rephrase that. I'm pretty sure she did just the voice of it, but yeah.
I would have loved if she actually took her mask off though.
I was kind of waiting for her to, but
yeah,
she did.
Just to see what the reaction would have been.
I think she just did the voice.
Yeah, I would have loved it if. Also, Rob McElhenney was one of the TVA soldiers.
Yeah.
So I would have loved.
Rob McElhenney is a big thing where he doesn't want to do movies. He said, I don't want to be in movies, just want to do TV. So he clearly did this as a friend, as a friend of Ryan's.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to be like in a mask. I don't want, to be on screen.
I personally would have loved it if his mask if he was the guy who was actually getting in the butt with the claws. That would have been, because that was a total Mac moment right there. I would have loved that. But yeah, so we get kind of the Troy fight, where we get Sabretooth and everyone's like, oh my God, here we go. It's Sabretooth and Wolverine. What's going to happen? And just a quick and done. And then we get the Furiosa which I thought was great.
One thing I wonder though is like, okay, they didn't get Liev Schreiber. They got Tyler Mane, which he's played.
He was the original Sabretooth
in the X-Men franchise, but that's not the one that Deadpool knows. So I think he'd say something like, wait, is that Sabretooth? That's not Sabretooth.
Yeah, that is true. He wouldn't know Tyler Mane at all. He would know Schreiber. But yeah, we got that, and we got Pyro completely just sucking the flame out of Johnny, and then that fall was great. Yeah. I was like, oh, he's dead. I was like, oh, he's not dead. Okay.
Yeah, how did he not die from that? Because he doesn't have any superpowers aside from his flame. So it's like, because he hit his head and he landed with his back.
I said I thought he was dead until we realized he wasn't. I was like, oh shit, he's alive. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably because he had to have someone to explain who the fuck Cassandra was. Yeah. But yeah, so we get to Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, which, like I said, I really, really liked her performance, and I thought that was pretty solid for what we got of her in it. Like I said, we see Juggernaut, which it makes sense that not all actors are going to be the same, but I get it. But he's dressed completely like, why the fuck am I blanking on his name? Vincent.
Jones.
Yeah, Vince Jones. Vincent Jones or Vince Jones?
Vinny
Jones. Vinny Jones. I would have loved it if it was Vinny. That would have been another great cameo moment, but I'm fine that it wasn't. But yeah, so we got that great moment. Then we got the end of Johnny, which was holy shit. And that was. I will say this: if there was one thing that I thought worked really, really well, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, the hand through the skull. I thought that shit looked fucking fantastic.
That was creepy as shit. Yeah,
it was creepy as shit, but it fucking looked
especially
good.
with the TVA guy, which like dragging him
by the fucking like palmed his skull and shit. Like I'm just watching, going, this looks beautifully horrifying.
Yeah,
like I kept waiting for it to like look fake or look off. I'm like, no, like even the part where she's like trickling their chin or their cheek off to the side and it's not even going through, it's just you can see the indentions of her fingers.
Yeah.
Yes, like I was like, this is beautiful body horror. We need to see more of this in like an actual horror movie. But we get the explanation of her.
Deadpool Halloween, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Do a special presentation, Marvel. Come
on. Yeah, on Disney Plus. Sure.
Deadpool's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, but they're gonna have some age restriction blocking on that. But yes, we got that whole sequence, which I thought was great. I loved. We got to see Goliath again from Loki, which it's a big puff of. It's like a smoke dragon. I mean, kind of do what you can with it. And then we get the introduction of after the escape of Nice Pool, which I thought was ridiculously stupid, but worked because it just Ryan Reynolds going to be more Ryan Reynolds. And then we also got the introduction of Dogpool, played by Peggy the dog. I don't know if I necessarily care about Dogpool. I
didn't care about Dogpool, and honestly, I didn't even really enjoy Nice Pool that much in that scene. But I like the payoff we got with them later on.
So. Oh yeah, it was totally set up for the payoff later.
Yeah.
My girlfriend definitely loved the car joke where he was shitting all over the was it the Honda Odyssey? Yeah, my girlfriend loved that joke. She was really into that one. But yeah, so we get the inevitable car scene where they basically go at each other. I loved that whole fight. That fight was great. And can we also give a nod to the soundtrack in this?
We can, but I feel like Sean Levy kind of went full James Gunn on this, and there was too many music drops in this, too many needle drops.
But Deadpool's all about the music drops.
There's a lot of places where they really, really worked, but there's other places where it's like it just feels like they're just like dropping in songs just to drop in songs, and I'm like, I thought they did a little too much,
I didn't have a problem with them.
I did like briefly getting to hear Greatest Showman in there though. That was nice.
Oh, I as soon as I heard I'm like, yeah, and I was like, oh, I would have loved that they did the whole fight in that. I would have loved the whole fight being in that.
They should have stopped for a second, gone. Is that you?
Yeah, and this sounds a lot like you. Shut up. And then instead we get a freaking Grease, which I was like, all right, if we're not gonna get Greatest Showman, Grease is fine. But I thought that whole car fight was well choreographed, shot beautifully. I loved everything about it. And then we get the big cameos.
The second cameo fest,
yes, the second cameo fest. We get first off, my girlfriend lost her fucking mind when Elektra showed up because she's a big Jennifer Garner Elektra fan. So when she showed up, she lost it. Then I lost it.
Well, Elektra is the one that if you've been following, that they actually announced that she was in it. So she's the one we knew was coming.
I didn't because I stayed away from all that shit.
Yeah, now everybody assumed it would be like one of like some scene where like a whole Fox universe shows up or something like that. So I didn't realize she'd have like a kind of a good decent part in it.
Yeah,
she showed up. Looks great as ever, by the way.
Oh, she looks fantastic.
But yeah, then the second one showed up.
Then we get Blade by Wesley Snipes, and I lost my shit.
Because of all the people I predicted might show up in this, he wasn't one of them. Because that's not a Fox thing. That's a Warner Brothers New Line Cinema movie. Yeah. So I was like,
I was so not prepared for.
And plus the fact that he kind of left on bad terms with Marvel because he didn't like how he got overshadowed by Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel in the third movie.
Of all people, Ryan Reynolds and Wesley.
And apparently they didn't get along when they were filming because Ryan was always joking around and he's being uber serious, trying to stay, method acting and stuff like that. So I'm glad that they were able to bury whatever hatchet they had because, I haven't seen
the paycheck. Let's just put it that way.
What's that?
Wesley Snipes needs the paycheck. So
well, I did love the fact that he's like, there's only one blade and there'll only ever be one blade. And in light of the fact that this movie's currently never happening, I thought that was hilarious.
And I love Ryan's fourth wall.
I halfway was thinking, I kind of liked if they just kept him as Blade in the new ones.
I would too. And then we get I laughed my ass off so hard when Channing Tatum fucking comes in full on Gambit. And I'm not gonna lie, I fucking dug it. His more to me Cage, I'm like, he's laying it on extra thick for the joke, but you know what? I'm fucking buying this. I'm buying.
Here's the thing: is if you had asked me, gone analyze it, what cameos do you expect the most in this movie? He was right up there. I was almost positive that he would be in this movie.
Always cameos in Sean Levy movies.
Yeah, because of his relationship with Ryan, because of his relationship with Sean Levy, because he was cast as Gambit and never got to actually play him. And it would be great chance to give him a chance to actually play him, if only for a small part in one movie. And so I was sure he was going to be in it. I was not expecting the full comic accurate costume. It looked pretty ridiculous, honestly.
It looked so ridiculous, but I was so there for it.
And then he was doing the accent kind of badly. And I'm thinking,
I don't think he was doing it badly. I think he was doing fine.
I thought he was, but my thinking was I hope that he was doing over the top for the comedic aspect here.
Was.
And this was not going to be his version of Gambit if they had made a movie. Because if so, I'm glad it never got made.
No, he was laying it on extra thick for Ryan to play off of. He would have toned that way down if it was his own movie. And I don't even think he would even have had the full get up if it wasn't Deadpool. No. I think he probably would have been more toned down in his outfit as well. But I thought he did great. I loved it so much. I
love that he kept making the little comments they're like, oh, we finally get a chance to, for people that didn't get to say goodbye to us, they're like, or never got to know us.
Yeah, exactly. I
got our chance.
And also I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, these are the jokes that if you know, then they're great. If you don't know, you're like, I don't get the joke. And it's like, because he was supposed to be Gambit, he never got to be Gambit, so he doesn't know his world. His whole his whole getting shot out of his dad.
Oh God, yeah.
It's just great. And then I love the one moment where we're like, oh yeah, they killed Daredevil. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's okay.
Oh my God, I love that. Like, she's
exactly.
Like,
I was like, it's fine.
You can kill that motherfucker. I don't give a shit.
Exactly. That's a perfect meta joke and a good joke in Daredevil just in general. And then of course we get the one that was spoiled for all of us because people can't fucking keep their shit to themselves, and that was Daphne Keane reprising herself as Laura.
I don't blame people. I blame Marvel for that one.
And I blame people for putting that shit on their fucking thumbnails on YouTube.
Well, here's my thing: is I feel like once something is released in a trailer or an actual studio produced marketing of some kind, it is kind of fair game out there in the world. It's out there, and I get it. And apparently the reason they did it is because they wanted Daphne Keane to be able to come to the premiere, and she couldn't come if it wasn't in the trailer because then it would spoil the surprise. Which I get that because that's just what Kevin Feige has said. That's why they decided.
And I guess she was probably the safest spoiler because of Logan. There's like, well, she probably would show up.
And also because that last trailer, like I said, I've since watched it, and it clearly was trying to push that there is some seriousness to it. There's some heart to this movie. It's not just all jokes. And I think having her in there is actually good marketing. I mean, now for people like us that were already going to go see the movie and we would love to have all the surprises saved for us. Yeah, it kind of sucks. But for people that maybe there's still the people that these later trailers are made for, or the people that aren't already going to see it at that point, they're trying to get more people to come. I get that they're trying to appeal to a different audience. So while it was spoiled for us, I still loved seeing her. She was probably my favorite, just being able to see her back and like a little bit older version of herself.
Oh yeah, because she was so good in Logan, and she's good in this.
I love that she was still rocking the sunglasses.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, when she put on her yes, that was a great moment there. I think all of them. I think Wesley was great. I think Gardner was great. I think Tatum was great, and I think she was great. I think this group, like I said, the cameos worked way better than I expected. Mm-hmm. Just like I thought Chris Evans was great as Johnny. I thought all the cameos that were given actual character screen time, not talking about the Juggernaut and all them, I think these were actually given great plot for them. Their things made sense. They made a difference in the film, and they helped breathe some energy into the movie if you needed it outside of just Wolverine and Deadpool. And I thought they all did good. I think they all had great moments to kind of just say, oh, like Wesley Snipes had to have his badass moment. Motherfuckers still be trying to skate uphill or ice skate uphill. Like I thought that was a great callback there. Like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of having them all back, and then Tatum being Gambit. I think every fight sequence in this movie I thought was great. I enjoyed every single one, and every single one.
And in this scene with those 4 people, it's like made me really respect whoever made the trailers for this. Had to be going frame. Okay, we can show this frame. Wait, we can't show this frame. We can't show this frame because, like, you know, these big group fights going on. It's like had to be very careful of what they showed, because nobody saw any of the 4 of them.
Oh yeah, because
so,
I'm watching the fight, and you know, we're getting to see Gambit use all the cards, which I thought was great. And then I'm like, oh man, we're not gonna get his staff. And then they do that sky shot. I'm like, there's his staff. Why are we seeing him fight with his bow staff? And then we got to see it a little bit. But I love how they all each got their own little like moments to be badasses on the battlefield. So it's like each one got to have their own little fight sequence, which I thought was great. Also, even though it wasn't Vinnie Jones, we got to see a good Juggernaut and Laura fight. I thought that looked good for what they did. I think the moment when we finally got Deadpool and Logan with Cassandra, I thought that moment with her and Logan was really well done, where she's like in his head and they're having that conversation. I thought all that worked really well. Like I said, because yes, this is a Deadpool movie, and you're expecting just laugh out loud, you know, R-rated comedy, But Hugh Jackman's Wolverine character still brings so much drama and heartbreak to the story that like you are able to have these great moments. Like even the moment with him and Daphne Keene at the fire. Mm-hmm. You still can have those great moments, and God damn it, Hugh Jackman, you know how to play. You played this character for 24 years. You know what the fuck you're doing, man. You know how to get us like synced in there. I was
a little surprised by, though. It's like they made this big deal, like, even in the trailers, and then the movie of like, you know, that he you know failed his whole world. He got everybody killed, all this stuff, and I'm waiting to hear like what happened. It's like, oh, he went out for a beer and the humans came and killed him. Like
that was the only that didn't work.
That was it.
Yeah, I was like, was it Sentinels? Like, I don't buy that.
We don't know how the humans killed all of the X-Men.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Everybody else in the mansion, apparently.
Cyclops and Storm,
and the only reason he's guilty of failing them is he was off having a beer. He just didn't happen to be there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost rather have it be he went off on his own and Xavier did what he did in Logan, and he wasn't there to stop Xavier because of old age, kind of thing. Yeah. But I did really enjoy that moment. Once again, I think Cassandra and Logan worked really well together. That moment where they're about to kill her, he's got the helmet on, and he makes him take the helmet off. He's like, you know, I finally deserve to wear this costume, and like that great scene with him talking to Cassandra about
Charles wouldn't want me to do this. Yeah,
exactly. Once again, fucking Hugh Jackman was so fucking good in this. You know, so we get that big runoff. You know, everyone's dead down below except for the 4. They're all watching them basically jump into the portal as Goliath's coming through. We get back on was it Earth? Was it 10,001 or was it 1,001 or 1,010?
10,005 or something like that.
10,005 according to my girlfriend.
But so my thing is that's the moment, like, you know, it's the moment in the trailer you see him jump through the portal and you're watching me jump through the portal, like, oh, what are they going to see? What are they going to encounter? What are they going to encounter now? And it's like, oh, it's nothing.
They're back. They're back.
Yeah, I like that. It was a very anticlimactic portal.
Well, yeah, because at that point they're like, you know, hey, we're getting to the 3rd act. I promise, we're almost done, kind of thing. Which I was like, okay, well, I mean, you don't have to tell us. I'm cool with us keep going. We can keep going. Then we get the Deadpool off, which I thought was. I'm sure there's so many cameos that we don't know. I know of 2, not counting Blake Lively, just based off of the cast thing pop up. Cowboy Deadpool was apparently Matthew McConaughey. I'll have
Which
to
again, I want to hear confirmation on that.
Yeah, I was like, I'll hear confirmation and re-listen to that. Kid Pool was Walker Scoble from Adam Project, which I think totally makes sense.
I'm totally sure he did that. Yeah,
totally, 100%. But
Or
Baby
again, or at least he did the voice. I don't know if he was there.
Oh no, he's tall. He's way taller now. He's Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely voice wise. But I thought all the Deadpools. I thought that was a cool introduction because like they teased it at the earlier. I was like, well, I kind of want to see what all these Deadpools look like, and then we just moved on. And I was like, oh shit, we are actually getting all the.
No, when they said that earlier, I was like, oh, I bet we're going to see that. I bet we're going to see that. And then when we finally did see that, now what I didn't realize it was going to be them against this army. I thought that army Deadpool was going to help them. Is what I thought was.
I thought we were going to as well, but no. Instead, it was just like Deadpool off. But yes, the payoff of killing Nicepool. And the thing is, like, what I loved about it too is like Wolverine was still like just not cool with that. Like, dude, no, it's fucking murder. What is wrong with you?
Use him as a human shield. You murdered it. He didn't die from, he died from murder.
Same thing with Johnny. Like Wolverine was like never okay with Johnny being killed. Like, dude, you fucking murdered him. No, I did not. He said all that shit. He's like, he deserved to die for all the mean shit
Which we find out he did say.
Yes, he did, and so much more too. On top of that,
but you gotta wonder how much fun Chris Evans had filming that because he has that squeaky clean image,
Chris loves doing those kinds of characters, which is why I love it. But yes, he now has a squeaky clean image because he's Steve Rogers. So he gets to play these roles now, and that is something that Johnny would say with R-rated, behind him. Johnny would totally say that shit.
But yeah, he's got Nicepool though, and he's like, it's fine, he'll regenerate. Like, what do you mean regenerate? Like, oh.
Look, why the fuck was I supposed to know he didn't regenerate? I'm like, I'm gonna live.
And then of course, the rest of them do regenerate, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I was like, that makes it. Yeah, because he did say he had what was it, weak bone density or something like that. I was like, maybe does he not regenerate? I guess he kind of tipped it off right there. But we get the one shot Deadpool fight, which I thought, in theory, it looked good, but I lost track of Wade at one point.
That's just it. Is they needed to have. There was a few of them that looked very different. They had like cowboy hat on or samurai outfit or whatever it was, or different color. But then there's a whole lot of them that just looked like Wade, and so I was trying to figure out which one am I supposed to be watching?
Well, because I was so focused on Wolverine. Because I swear to God, as soon as he went, I lost it.
I have to admit, I didn't like the look of it though.
I thought it looked great.
I thought the eyes and stuff. I didn't.
When he pulled the mask on, I immediately went. Yee! I was like, yes. Like, and I because my girlfriend was.
Your girlfriend's like nerd.
Hey, she nerded out for Elektra. I don't care. But yes, I was wondering the whole movie.
Later tonight.
She told you to shut up. But no, because like we see the promo stuff that he's wearing the helmet, and I was like, is this just gonna be a promo thing? We're never actually gonna see it in the fucking movie. Because there were so many times where I kept looking at the back of him, seeing like, is it back there? And I never saw it. So when he pulled it up, I was like, oh my God, we're finally getting it. And I thought he looked great. There's times where the mask did look a little bigger than his face, like his face structure. But I still fucking love watching him just fully Wolverine out with the mask on. Like I said, we get the one-off fight, which I was a little like, okay, well, maybe they're not all regenerative because Wade had that thing happen to him, and the regenerative was like, so maybe
I thought like a couple that would regenerate. Like I was pretty sure like Lady Deadpool would regenerate because I thought for sure we were going to see her unmask herself or something. But then when all of them got back up, I'm like, oh. But then all of a sudden it's just like Peter shows up, and they're all just like, oh, okay, never mind. Like,
yeah, they all have a Peter apparently. So enjoy my
because they have a Peter, they're now suddenly okay with this Deadpool who they all wanted to kill a minute ago. I don't know.
Well, it was kind of one of those things where they just I guess they didn't know if he had a Peter, so if he had a Peter, they were all fine. Which I guess that was the reasoning behind it. I don't know.
Why did they want to kill him in the first place? I think I missed that.
I think it was more or less that Nicepool was telling them that they had to come in and stop him. And so they were just saying, "Oh, we get to kill somebody. Okay, cool," kind of deal. I don't think it was anything like maliciously like towards Deadpool in general. It was just more, "Oh, we get to kill a Deadpool. Fun. Let's go do that." And then realize, oh wait, he's got a Peter like us. He's actually not so bad. Because they didn't really care about Deadpool at that point. They just all care about Peter. So it was just kind of more, it's like, hey, here's a key. Go chase it. And then they were able to walk off. But I did like that they did continue the continuity of Deadpool because the samurai Deadpool had the baby hands. So they still kept the continuity of if limbs get cut off, they're going to regrow. And then we get, to the inevitable final part where they go to sacrifice themselves. And we get full on Logan ripping his shirt off. We get the ab shot. which of course is what.
Well, first you
all
had the
girls
Star
want.
Trek moment through the window.
Yeah, so like, and then here, let me Deadpool this out. Let me walk down the stairs. Let me do the spaceman. I was like, there's a time clock, Wade, motherfucker. Come on, But yeah, we got kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy moment where they hold on together, kind of deal, with Madonna playing in the background. Which I was like, did you think that at least one, if not both, were going to die at that moment, and that's how they're going to end it, or do you think they're fully going to live through that?
I thought originally that Wolverine was going to sacrifice himself, and then when Wade took over, I'm like, okay, but I mean, as far as no, they still want to make more Deadpools possibly in the future, so that'd be surprising. And so as soon as I realized they couldn't reach, then you kind of knew what was going to happen at that point. I'm like, oh,
at that point you knew, especially once he hit the door and the door was caving. I was like, oh, that's not going to hold. But yeah, I was like, I was like, okay, this is how Wolverine's going to sacrifice himself, so that way we get no more Hugh. Then okay, but we also know there's a lot of Hughs out there, But we also know that there are other Wolverines that don't look like Hugh. Case in point with the Henry Cavill one, but yeah, I would have been okay if that's how he would have done it. So that way, this would have been officially him having his swan song. But I'm also fine with where we got with it, where they didn't die, kind of thing. And then we got oh god, what's her name? From Loki.
Oh, I don't remember the actress's name.
Looking it up.
Is that Hunter B-15?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wunmi Mosaku.
Oh yeah, Mosaku. It's Hunter B-15. We saw her a little bit earlier, but we got her, and of course, apparently she thinks Peter's sexy in a Deadpool suit. But can I just say, like, for a non-speaking role, that TVA agent, the one that's like just fucking Ryan and Hugh through the whole time, that guy was great. I enjoyed the hell out of that dude. I don't know who he is. I don't even think he's in the cast list.
I've seen him before. I don't know who he is though.
James Dryden, TVA tech. That guy was good. That guy did a damn good job. But yeah, and then we got Dogpool stayed, so we got to keep the dog. And then I guess, and then that was the other thing too, is like when they say, hey, there's some other people who we should save. Can you guys bring them back? Are we assuming that Blade, Elektra, and Gambit all got saved and got put back at home? Well, Gambit doesn't have a home. So that was like, I would have liked a little more clarification on that.
Well, here's my problem with the ending. I think it is a total missed opportunity because they were talking about it feels like, well, because okay, I feel like what they should have done is they should have been like, these people can't stay here. Logan can't stay here. These other people can't come here because we have to protect the sacred timeline. This has to be what it is. These people can't stay here. So I thought what they were going to do is like, okay, we can, we, instead of destroying this other timeline, we don't need to get rid of this timeline. We'll let this one stay. So these people can exist. They're going to be in their own timeline where people can, they'll live happily ever after and people can remember them and things like that. But it will not be interfering or crossed over with our timeline. And I thought that'd be a great way to be like, okay, hey, the Fox universe, it was a great thing. Here's our tribute to it. It's going to live on, but it is separate. But instead of doing that, they kind of did this murky waters thing where you're like, oh, are they going to try and, and also I felt like it could have helped close off the whole fucking multiverse and time variance.
Oh, I'm sure you loved that whole spot when they were shitting on the multiverse the whole time.
Well,
and Deadpool was like, I think it's been great after Endgame. And I was like, the whole time I'm sitting there and go, this is probably Brian's favorite scene of the year right here.
I'm pretty sure I out loud was like, yes, and clapped out loud.
Yeah, I was the whole time I'm like, this is Brian's moment. Is this?
But I just felt like it was a missed opportunity to kind of close that off and give them kind of the closure on the Fox universe. They didn't really give it because, like I said, instead they left kind of murky. Like, okay, what's going on with these characters? Are like Logan, he's still here. Like, is he going to stay here? They're going to send him back. We don't know what's going on with him. And then when he did stay on, he was at the dinner or whatever.
Because he's a part of Wade's family.
Yeah, and he has no acknowledgement to like even like Colossus and that people he's missed and they've been dead in his world and he knew these people, he was friends with these people.
Well, the thing is that it doesn't look like that he just showed up at this party. This looks like that this is like a little bit down the road kind of thing, and they're all hanging out. So we missed that opening.
Well, here's the thing though, is in this universe, then since Colossus in this universe where Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead lived, the rest of the X-Men in
Should be
theory
dead.
lived in this universe.
Oh yeah, they are alive because they're
So wouldn't he go
Wouldn't
seek
they-
out the rest of them? I don't know.
maybe because Daphne, according to the story that we know, this is the Logan verse. So Daphne Keene technically wouldn't have been born yet. So she got brought back basically way ahead of time.
That's what I'm problem with this whole thing.
Logan-
And this is the
Logan
problem
was,
with anything with time variants and multiverse, things like that. It's picking and choosing what's going to go where and what can stay and what really in this timeline. And
What-
it's like, it's so
what
inconsistent.
year-
You kind of have to just go with it. I understand. You have to just have to go with it. But at the same time, like you said,
Logan in? I'm
What's that?
checking. I'm checking to see what year Logan was. 2029. Okay,
Yeah.
so she would have been 4 in Logan, or no, she would at this time.
So are there now
Or-
2 Lauras walking around in this?
Yeah,
place?
basically, there are, according to that. So,
yeah, this is like what I was talking about. These are the nitpicky problems I had with it but
you're
that's
saying
the kind
Back
of
to the
problems you
Future's
always
all
have with time
bullshit?
travel and shit like that.
yes,
but-
Back to the Future's bullshit line.
Yeah. So I mean, so in the end, I enjoyed the movie a ton. I'll see if I enjoy it as much, on a second viewing when everything is not new, everything's not a surprise. But while I had issues with the plot, I didn't really even care about a lot of the plot kind of thing. I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, like I said, I thought the end credits showing kind of the behind the scenes
That was
of all
great.
them.
I love that.
I thought that was great, and I thought that, like I said, I thought that made a perfect endpoint for the Fox universe. And now we've got the MCU, and we're going to go from there. Apparently, and I didn't look it up, but apparently they're already spoiling this movie at Comic-Con. Apparently, if you go over to the Marvel table, they have some mural Marvel shit, and it's got a spoiler for Wolverine and Deadpool in there. Which I was like, that's fucked up, and the movie hasn't even come out yet, and you guys are
What do they
already.
have on it?
I don't know. I just know Kalinowski is there, and he hadn't got to see. He was yesterday. He's like, I haven't got to see Deadpool Wolverine yet, but the Marvel fucking like studio area has a fucking spoiler on a big mural like thing, and they go, dude, Marvel, you guys fucking just went out and spoiled the movie for everybody, and the movie isn't even out yet. Like, what the
Now,
fuck?
if it was like Saturday at Comic-Con, I'm like, fine. These nerds have all seen it by now,
No, but I'm thinking if anything, it's probably got Gambit and the group on there. It's probably got Old Blade and Gambit on there. That's the only thing I could think of that would have been like.
I don't know, because I've been staying off social media, so I don't know any of the stuff that.
Oh, they didn't take pictures of it or anything. But I'm saying like if
I was afraid somebody would just mention it, so
if there's a big mural of something spoiling Deadpool and Wolverine, the only thing I could think of would have been those guys being shown.
Unless it was like Daphne and he avoided the last trailer or something. I don't know.
I don't know if you could have avoided that. That was plastered everywhere. But yeah, so after our spoiler conversation, are you still kind of like in a 4.5? Where you at?
Yeah, it's still not going to be a 5. It wouldn't be lower than 4. It's probably as of right now, it's a 4.5. It could go down to a 4, but it's still a good score for me. But it's kind of in that 4.25 and up area somewhere.
Okay. All right. So I'll put you down as a
4.5. 4.5. Put me down
4.5. Okay, so we're both at a 4.5 on it. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, except that like I really do hope that everything in this movie is just in this movie. I don't want to see this tie into the MCU, greater MCU, which I don't see it doing that anytime soon. But let's just hope they keep it that way.
The only thing I could see them touching back on is if the TVA pops back up, they can mention the Deadpool situation, or we don't need another Deadpool incident.
I'd love to see more Deadpool, but I just want him to be removed from the rest of it. I want him to be able to comment on the cinematic universe without being part of it, kind of thing.
Would you be open to more Hugh, or do you want Hugh to be officially done with Wolverine?
I want Hugh to be done. I want Hugh to be done with Wolverine completely. I want because I want X-Men to get going. I want them to get started. I want them to new Wolverine, which there's already people going like, oh, this is confirmation. Henry Cavill's going to be the new Wolverine. It's like, no, he's not, motherfuckers. It was just a silly cameo in this movie.
We need someone under 40.
This was the passage of the torch. They were all Hugh except for him, so he's the new. It's like, no, he's not. He's not.
And I love that joke. Till you're 90.
Well, that's the other thing is people have been talking about this movie. People who saw this movie like, and it's kind of it it really does tie so much into the MCU and kind of gives us an idea of where the MCU is going from out here. I'm like,
It
no,
doesn't.
it doesn't. It tells us nothing about where the MCU is going from here, unless you're reading way too far into things, because they aren't going to bring in Elektra and they aren't going to bring in this Blade. Although honestly, I'd be
technically, if Elektra's already in the MCU, she was in Daredevil.
That's right. It was what's her name?
Yeah, Elektra is already fucking there, and Blade's coming at some point. The only person that
you want to know something, I would honestly, I like Mahershala as an actor. I never liked him as Blade. I would honestly rather watch Wesley Snipes as Blade again than him.
Well, you don't even know how he is Blade.
But he is too old. But I do think he's probably getting too old to start.
I agree on that. We said that in our last episode.
But maybe we'll be talking about this on Monday though, when we find out more information. Maybe this weekend at Comic-Con.
Yes. But anyway, guys, what were your thoughts on Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine? I always go Wolverine and Deadpool because Wolverine should be the lead, not Deadpool. Did you guys like it? Did you just like it? What were your favorite spots of the movie? What were your favorite cameos? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you guys enjoyed this non-spoiler and spoiler discussion. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, you can follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Like I said, coming up next, we got Comic-Con coming this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a shitload of news because Marvel is there. So we'll probably have a new whole roadmap for the next few years. If it's worth talking about, Brian and I will be back to talk about that, especially since we just did our part 2 of our MCU show where we talked about our rankings of all the live TV adaptations on the MCU on Disney Plus so far, as well as the State of the Union of the MCU prior to Wolverine and Deadpool, which I don't think this changed anything, at least in our eyes, on the state of the MCU. Did it change anything for you? No, I don't think so, because it didn't really have much to do with the MCU.
Yeah.
Exactly, outside of the TVA. So yeah, we might be back here next week talking about the state of the MCU again after Comic-Con. But we hope you guys come and watch that with us. And then next week, we got a big movie next week.
Next week is, I don't think there's anything major coming out.
I don't think anything needs to go against the second.
No, week. Next week is Harold and the Purple Crayon. Trap. And then, and more importantly, on Netflix, you have the Rebel Moon director's cuts,
which you and I both agree, it looks good. We're gonna have to rewatch this damn thing. It looks good. I don't know why, but it actually looks good because they added blood and sex, and I'm definitely gonna.
They added more than that. Looks like there's like a lot of.
There's like a whole bunch of new scenes. There's like this really big motherfucking character that like a mech character or some shit. So yeah, we might have to have another review of Rebel Moon, the director's cut. I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm expecting at least 4 hours. So yeah, that's all coming. But yeah, so Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Hey, you said it.
What?
You said it right.
Yeah, because I copied what you said. Trap, which, like I said, we'll see. We might do a duo of that just because of my hate for M. Night Shyamalan. We'll see if that's worthy of a duo review or not. And then, like I said, the Rebel Moon director's cut, and then of course the following week we got Borderlands, which I'm here for, as well as Cuckoo and It Ends With Us, which I definitely see in Borderlands. I don't know about the other two. I know you probably want to see It Ends With Us because you were talking about that earlier in the year. You said you were excited for that one.
No, I mentioned it, but it's not what I was excited for, especially when I saw it as a Blake Lively movie. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. I read the synopsis. I was kind of like, eh. And then I watched the trailer, and I have no interest at all in it.
Did you watch the Cuckoo trailer?
I think I did see the Cuckoo trailer before some movie I saw.
Even though it's got Dan Stevens,
actually.
Even though it has Dan Stevens, it didn't really move the needle for me at all.
It's I might check it out, but I'm not like excited about it or anything.
Yeah. But anyway, guys,
next week is also Instigators on Apple TV. That's the Matt Damon, Casey Affleck movie.
Oh yeah. I might check that one out as well. But anyway, guys, we are the Movie Crusaders. I'm Sean Walskrug. That is Brian Michaels. Until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch the movies, go have some fun, and go watch Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine. I swear to God, this is going to be the whole year for me, is I'm going to say Wolverine and Deadpool. Anyway, have a good day, guys.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.